Live from the Colorado Media School campus in Lakewood, Colorado, the premier radio show on GoMileHigh.com. This is the Press Box.
Good afternoon. This is the Press Box on GoMileHigh.com, part of the
right opportunity to move in a
Air
different direction.
Network.
And, there's only one way to play.
I don't know whose sound that was yet, but we'll probably get into that in a little bit. A little too early, but that's okay. I'm here with Andrew, Zach, Dylan, Matt behind the board. I got Sandy, I got Brandon, I got Josh, and more. So we got a whole crew in here today.
He's a solid dude.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot his name for right now. I'll get it corrected here for the next segment. And I'm Caleb, for all those who want to know my name. So
don't pull a KJ.
Don't pull a KJ?
Yeah.
He was just in here. I wonder where he went. Need you, man. Today it's nice and sunny outside, 43 degrees, but I'm not a weatherman. So we've got some NFL news today, and we got some big news with Luke Kuechly retiring today. He fits, from what I understood, from what I read, he fits the 30 and under retirees club, and we got some sound from him today on his retirement.
Possibly.
This game since I was a little kid. For me now is the right opportunity to move in a different direction, and there's only one way to play this game since I was a little kid is to play fast and play physical and play strong. And at this point, I don't know if I'm able to do that anymore.
I want to thank Panthers.com for that sound. It's kind of a shocking news to hear him retire, surely at a younger age, but I know he's been beat around. I know that he's been to at least one Super Bowl where he got smashed in.
Yeah. Go Broncos.
Yeah, all us Broncos fans remember that day, but definitely I thought it was kind of early for him. I thought he at least had three more years. I thought he was going to retire somewhere around in his 30s, but I know that he's been dealing with certain injuries, and when that comes into effect, that will end a career very fast.
Yeah, I believe he was the 2013 Defensive Player of the Year, widely regarded as a top 3 middle linebacker in all the NFL, number 1 there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Kuechly is one of those guys who personally, when I played Madden years ago, he was always one of those guys I traded to my team. He was like the first guy I picked up. Like in terms of middle linebacker defense, like he was top tier, top notch. Just a good dude too.
Yeah. It's sad to see him go. Even though he's a Panther, I do like Luke Kuechly. Amazing guy, outstanding guy, actually. He's had impact on all those guys in there, especially Christian McCaffrey. He said he's appreciated him on his Instagram post. And, as you said, 2013 Defensive Player of the Year. It's sad to see him go under 30, but
at the age of 28.
Yeah,
so.
Even though you said, he had 3 more in him. I could agree with that, but with all the concussions and injuries he's had, I think it's a great decision for him to retire right now so he doesn't do any more long-term damage.
Yeah, definitely surprising that he would, retire at 28. But he's played, one hell of a career. But I think with all those tackles and hard hits, it's definitely dwindled down on his career. This is going to be a different Carolina team, a new coach, new linebacker. I think
potentially new quarterback.
Yeah, new quarterback. I think Greg Olsen is going to be gone too. So it's just going to be a massive overhaul for Carolina, and kind of excited to see where they go from here.
Yeah, you're starting to hit to my next point here is what's Carolina going to do with all these new changes? Are we going to see a quick turnaround, or are we going to expect a few, going to take at least a 5-year rebuild?
Not 5 years.
5, that's kind of drastic.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years, you go new rookie NFL head coach. He's been coaching college for a while, and it's going to take him a little bit, maybe a draft or two. Well, but you got to keep in mind free agency. There's a lot of big free agents this year. Pick up maybe a middle linebacker that's out there that could replace Luke Kuechly. Won't be at the same standard he played at, but
that's hard to hit.
Exactly, and Luke Kuechly, over 1,000 tackles in 8 years.
Actually, has some of his career number accolades.
Let's hear it.
So he had 1,092 tackles since joining the league in 2012. That's first in the NFL. 7 Pro Bowls, tied for the first since 2012. 5-time first-team All-Pro middle linebacker, 18 interceptions, which is the most by linebackers, NFL Defensive of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, and 7 years as a team captain. I would say that's a Hall of Fame resume, honestly.
Yeah,
too.
it just stinks they didn't have that Super Bowl ring.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
half the players don't have.
half the players that are in the Hall of Fame don't have a Super Bowl ring.
I mean, unless you've been a Patriot for the past freaking 20 years, you probably don't have a ring.
yeah, if you're even like some of those Patriot players that have Hall of Fame rings and have decent stats, they're not Hall of Famers. I'm sorry, Patriots fans, if you think that some of these guys are Hall of Famers, but they're not. Brady, for sure. Gronk, I'll give a yes. Edelman, yes. But that Super Bowl
Edelman.
ring, but he has the MVP, the
He's
Super Bowl MVP.
borderline and borderline Hall of Famer, I'd say. with Edelman.
Not first ballot. He'll be a
Run-
Hall of Famer
he's
Yeah, I
later.
mean, not
Run-
first ballot, but just Hall of Famer in general.
Runner
Hall of
up.
Famer, yeah.
Maybe a possible runner-up year after year.
Yeah, he might take that water end of the stick and take a while to get in there. But Luke Kuechly, I don't think he's first ballot.
No,
No,
not yet.
but
I
he
mean,
will be a Hall of Famer. 6 years until he's able to be eligible. And that won't be until 2026.
but you got to give props to
Oh yeah,
Gronk and Kuechly to know that your body's telling you something and you
can
don't
see
go
it in
past
both
that.
of them.
So it's props on them. I just hope that they don't get they skip in the Hall of Fame ballot because they retired early and they have such a good resume with a little bit of time. So
Well, not even just those guys. We saw Megatron retire at 30, which is, I mean, who thought he was going to retire when he did?
It was out of nowhere.
Seriously. And then Patrick Willis.
Yeah.
That
Niners.
was a big one.
Seriously. I mean, all of these were big ones, but there was not a middle linebacker better than Patrick
Yeah.
Willis when he was at
sure.
at peak Patrick Willis.
And Megatron's almost up for Hall of Fame, isn't he? He's almost up for eligibility.
In a year or two, I'd say, yeah.
I think he's in the same as Peyton. I think he's in the same with Peyton.
Cool. Well, now I want to transfer over to some other current news, sticking in the NFL, and I wanted to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Tennessee Titans at Arrowhead, and the Green Bay Packers versus the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco at Levi Stadium. And I just wanted to get your guys' score predictions and predicting out of these four teams, which two are going to the Super Bowl.
I mean, this is going to be definitely a test for Tennessee for sure. I mean, you're going against a fast-powered offense with their defense has definitely improved, but you're talking about like a 2-minute offense every time they're on the field. They can score so quick.
Jeez.
So as long as Tennessee can just stick to what they've done the last couple games of running the ball, draining the clock, trusting the play action, Tennessee has a chance, but they have to really drain that clock. I do see it, I'm not going to say it's a Tanner score, 45, 28, but I see, 28, maybe to 21, 20. It's going to be a close game. I don't see a
So
blowout.
you're thinking 28-21?
Yeah,
Kansas City?
hoping Tennessee.
Tennessee?
I'm going Tennessee.
All right, I like that score.
Yeah, I can't give you a score prediction because I'm not good with that kind of thing.
Just throw it.
But
just throw
I'm
it out
gonna
there.
say Kansas City. Like,
Kansas City?
I put on Twitter. I didn't want to put a knee-jerk reaction to Tennessee, taking down the Patriots and taking down the Ravens. But two things those teams had, they were run first, pass when you need to type offenses. While with the Chiefs, it's so much they barely run because their passing is so elite. This is the thing the Titans haven't seen for the most part this season. And I mean, what we saw against the Texans, a team I feel much more adept to taking on the pass defense or to defending the pass of the Chiefs. I mean, they put up 2
51.
touchdowns in like a minute and a half at one point. Like this team,
they had it was the touchdown that they scored after the stopped a fake
Yeah.
punt and then the fumble.
like
on the
this
kickoff.
team's attack is it comes at you so quickly and so violently too. Like I don't know if the Titans can keep up with that kind of scoring update. I know the Chiefs are probably the last team that will think of that will be able to stop Derrick Henry. But when you're running the ball for 5-10 yards a shot, while the Chiefs are tossing it for 20, 30, 40, 50 yards almost religiously, I just don't think the Titans can keep up with that kind of offensive rhythm.
You see, though, that's a spot that can kill you in a game, though. If you're going too fast, just going that scoring. Like you said, they run a 2-minute offense basically every time they're on the field.
Yep.
Say 4 minutes left in the game, Chiefs are down. That's when the Chiefs go down there 2 minutes. You give the Titans 2 minutes left to go on the clock. They're going to run the ball down there and win the game. That's the big thing. That can hurt you in games. A lot of people don't know that. That's what I think is going to happen. I got Tennessee winning it, close game, 21-14. I think these defenses are going to show out, but in the end, I think Tennessee is going to get that ball. Like I said, they're going to get the ball with 2 minutes left. Chiefs already run down and score. Give them too much time. That's when Tannehill, Henry, and the Titans offense are going to score down there, make the Super Bowl.
Matt?
I am going to disagree with you completely there, Dylan. I think that the Chiefs are going to tear it up this game. I think they're going to come out hot, and they're never going to stop. I think that the Tennessee's defense is good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that it's good enough to stop Patrick Mahomes. I still think he, which everybody should, is the greatest quarterback in the NFL. They just have too many weapons overall. I was forgetting on last week's show, like they still have LaShawn McCoy.
He's on
and
IR. He's on IR.
Oh, he's on IR. Okay.
Sammy Watkins.
They still have Sammy Watkins. They still have Damian Williams in the backfield. Like,
Tyreek Hill.
They have so many weapons outside of the two big names
Nico
that you just
Hardman.
said, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce there.
And
I
Kelsey,
just
too.
don't see-
Jeez.
I just
my
don't
God,
see Tennessee holding them to 14 points, and I don't think I love Derrick Henry, but if you just seriously stack the box with 8 plus every single play, make Tannehill throw the ball, he's going to make some mistakes. He's going to turn over the ball. I think it's going to be 35-12.
Can I want to get some 12. I want to get 2 quick things in here on that. Yeah, and you guys just made me lose my train of thought on that.
Here, let me
So
just
I'll
go
just
off
go ahead and
this.
score out there.
Yeah.
I'll say it'll be 35-21.
All right.
Chiefs.
I'm going with Tennessee as well. I like the run game. Kansas City all season has not had a run defense, and Tennessee is definitely a run heavy offense. So we'll see how those two do, but I don't doubt that Kansas City can't get down the field in 30 seconds and all of a sudden take over a game either. So
Yeah.
And also, just throw this out there real quick, Patrick Mahomes still has the chip on his shoulder for not being able to touch the ball at all in overtime in last year's AFC Championship game. This game is in Kansas City, where Kansas City does not lose. They have probably the loudest stadium in the NFL.
It is.
Can the Titans, can they overcome that? That's where I think they're going to fall short.
I remember what I was thinking now. So you go back when we were talking Kelsey. This man, crazy. Yeah, he's 3 touchdowns after that drop pass. But this Titans offense, if they stop the run on Derrick Henry, they're going to go Tannehill run offense. They're going to go Tannehill throwing the ball. That's what's going to win the game.
all right, quickly as before we go to the break, next game, Green Bay versus San Francisco. Just give me a quick team and quick score. Zach?
I'm going to go San Francisco. I think it's going to be the same outcome just a couple of weeks ago when they just smashed Green Bay. So I'm going to say 35-10.
I'm not going to argue with that.
San Francisco, but I'm going to go 21-10.
I'm taking Green Bay. I'll take a 21-28 game. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit of NBA. We're going to talk Nuggets, Nikola Jokic. Tune in. This is The Press Box on GoMileHigh.com, part of the Beat On Air Network.
What does it take to be on air? It's not just the personality, though it does help. It takes drive, creativity, passion, and the willingness to develop yourself and truly find what makes you special. At Go Mile High, students are given this chance to become something great. You never know. Someone you're hearing right now could be the next big thing, and you could be the first to know how it all started. So keep listening, because you never know what's next on GoMileHigh.com.
Every day, across this country, hundreds of college radio stations take to the air, broadcasting music and programming that you won't hear anywhere else.
It's one of the last places where people can really be able to actually say what they want to say.
Without it, you wouldn't have a place for local artists to perform. Certain people need to have a chance, a fighting chance, and college radio is that place for it.
College radio changes the lives of those who are involved with it and can change those who listen to it too.
This is where we start out, from getting all this great experience working in college radio. It makes you want to work in real radio.
College radio means finding yourself. It helped me find what I wanted to do in not only school, but in life.
So support college radio by continuing to listen to this station and supporting the students who make it happen. College radio, now, more than ever. A message brought to you by this station and the College Radio Foundation. For more information, please visit collegeradio.org.
So I'm taking a trip over to Tibet, see the sights, climb a hill or two. But I remember, oh man, I got one guy out here who I actually know. So I give an old ringy-dingy to the Lama. What? The Dalai Lama, his laminescence, flowing robes, grace, bald, striking really. I says to the Lama, hey, you remember that round I caddied for you down in Shangri-La? Well, apparently some station out in Lakewood taped the whole thing. See, the Lama's a big hitter. Nailed 2 eagles in a row that day. Well, he says, what station could have possibly gotten all the way out to my sacred holy lands, the Shangri? I says it was none other than GoMileHigh.com, Lama. They got the best sports coverage in the state. The Lama actually tips me this time, 2-1. So he pretty much stiffed me again, but I got him hooked on GoMileHigh.com, so I got that going for me, which is nice.
That's great.
GoMileHigh.com.
This is Durello and Stertz. Zach Durello.
I would say there's 2 answers because there's the Elway draft and there's going to be the way that I would draft it, which I'm going to go with that. You're going to have to get the offensive line beefed up so you can get Drew Lock. You need to think about it. Our offensive line is pretty horrendous. There's Reisner.
Matthew Stertz.
Half the fan base wanted Troy Tulowitzki to get traded, and the other half of the fan base doesn't know anything about baseball, so they were like, no, we want Troy.
Follow them on Twitter at Welcome Rug and at Orange Mamba 22 to check out the latest podcast.
Welcome back to the Press Box on GoMileHigh.com, part of the Beyond Air Network. I've got Zach, Andrew, Dylan. I'm Caleb, hosting today. Behind the glass, I have Matt. I've got Tyler. I've got Sandy. And Brandon running the TriCaster for YouTube. And then in the corner there, I've got Josh Dover and KJ. I'm glad to have all of us here today. Now we're going to switch things over to the NBA, and the Denver Nuggets are going to be playing the Charlotte Hornets tonight. And all my basketball guys, Matt, Zach, what are we expecting from the Nuggets tonight?
Honestly, the Nuggets do struggle against teams that are below 500, and every time in the last couple of years they play Charlotte, they do not do well. The ball doesn't go in the hoops, so I'm honestly expecting a loss tonight only because they don't do well against East Coast teams, but it is here. But yeah, I just don't see a win.
Yeah, I can see that too, but after losing to the Cavs, I think there might be something in their head that we can't do this anymore. We've only been losing to under 500 teams recently, like they lost to the Wizards. I think I'll see a big win tonight. Road win, get us back up there. Hopefully, get us back up into 2 after the Jazz.
This one's at Pepsi Center.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Get us back up there.
Oh, okay.
Get a nice good win here at home. Mile High Air, kind of got a little bit of an advantage.
You mean Mile High lack of air?
Yeah, lack of air. There you go. Yeah, and I see a big win here tonight for us. Sorry, for the Nuggets.
Yeah.
ESPN has the matchup predictor at 89.5% in favor of the Denver Nuggets.
I'm going to go put my money on Charlotte right now.
I mean,
hey,
same.
Put some money in there.
I think that because with that win against the Clippers, I think they're satisfied for now until the next team, another playoff team comes around. But, obviously I'm hoping for a win, but they do struggle. They don't really give 100% effort when they play teams that aren't playoff teams.
And I think that's one thing. It's just that mindset. It's an under 500 team. We don't really have to try, which you see that a lot. And I think they're Malone. I don't think he's kind of happy right now about what's been going on, losing to all these under 500 teams. He's going to go. I think this whole week during practice, they've been preparing for this game just so they can get that W, just so they can keep going, get back on a win streak, get back into the top of the West.
And then I'm going to say this. The Nuggets are so lucky that the other powerhouses in the West here are not playing to their potential outside of the Lakers. The Clippers should be a lot better than they've been playing. The Rockets should be playing a lot better than they currently have. The Nuggets, they lose these fluky games to teams that shouldn't even be able to step on the same court as the Nuggets. Mm-hmm. And
going off that, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but is that all just stuff that we see in typical January? It's the new year, but we haven't hit the All-Star game yet, so it's like... floaty basketball.
Kind of sometimes. Once they get to this push to the All-Star game, you kind of see this a little bit. But I don't know. And it's not just like, how you're saying the West. It's not just the Lakers playing to their potential. You also got the Jazz, who are on a 10-game win streak that just took the Nuggets place over and just took the Nuggets out of second place in the West. And it's a tough conference.
Yeah,
the West is always such a tough conference.
It's always been a tough conference, but now it's spread evenly. A lot of duos going on.
Now that Golden State's been knocked down, with injuries, which sucks.
For a year.
Yeah, for a year. Which sucks, though, because, you never want to see anybody injured. But this year it's kind of even. It's kind of cool to see how spread out this this conference is.
Oh, yeah. It's just...
between from 2 to, 8, it's spread out.
Right.
Because, the Lakers have a 5-game lead over the number 2 team.
Well,
That's ridiculous.
I think it even pushes further than 8, too, because you have teams that you didn't think were going to be in the playoffs that are in the playoffs right now, like the Dallas Mavericks, they're really good this year. People expected them to be decent, but they probably didn't expect them to be better than 8 seed.
Not to this
West,
level.
Not make a play like a.
But then you have the Portland Trail Blazers, who aren't even in the playoffs currently. If it ended today, so there's a lot of teams. Even the Suns. There's a bunch. Every West team basically. If your team's not the Oklahoma City Thunder, shoot, even the Oklahoma City Thunder have a chance right now, man. They're playing pretty well.
They're in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The West is so
ridiculous.
wild right now. No pun intended there, but it's insane. It's crazy.
And if you want to, and these teams that are just barely out of it, just have to make one small push, maybe a big push if they want to get that 8 seed.
Yeah, no, the Spurs are half a game behind the 8-seeded Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
The Blazers are a game and a half.
The Spurs were a playoff team last year, and they were sort of out of it for a while, but now they're back in the hunt. You still have a lot of teams that are in the hunt for these playoff spots.
Yeah.
And you never know what's going to happen come. When does the playoff starts again? April?
Yeah, late April.
Yeah.
Yep.
You never know what's going to happen come late April.
Yeah.
Just like any playoff in any league.
Now, you kind of hit on it about the Utah Jazz getting on a 10-game win streak. What does that mean for, say, Denver fans to be worried about? Should we be worried about that, or is that just something like, that's great that they've won 10 games, but we'll just continue playing our way and we'll wait till April?
God! No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Thank you, Michael Scott.
We know how Matt feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd say don't worry as much about every other team, because when you're dropping these should be easy wins in spectacular fashion, there are some pretty glaring holes right now with the Nuggets, and they need to take care of what's kind of going on with the team and take care of in-house stuff right now before you worry about what the Jazz are doing, what the Clippers are doing, what the Lakers are doing.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to worry about every team right now. Come late season, maybe. But
yeah, if this take care of it more in March.
Yeah, that's when you really want to worry about it. But right now, we're close to the All-Star break. That's when everything's gonna, we only have one Nugget in there, and that's just Nikola Jokic is in the All-Star game. That means the rest of these guys come All-Star break are going to be working, getting ready for the second half of the season.
Yeah, it's something to be cautious about, but the last 8-9 games, they haven't played a team above 500. So you do have to give them the credit that, they just beat the Pistons, the Bulls, Magic, Pelicans, Knicks, Hornets, Wizards.
Which are those teams, and those are those teams that have losing horrendous records, but they fight hard to the end of every game.
Yeah, I mean,
you never know.
And with the acquisition of Mike Conley, and he hasn't really performed. During this 10-game win streak, he hasn't played at all. Yeah. So I'm not really, worried about him, but they're the second best in our conference, so you do got to keep an eye out, and we do play them at the end of the month, so
which is good. Hopefully, going to be a good game.
Yeah, that'll be a good contest between the two.
Now it's transferred to the All-Star game. You said Nikola Jokic was in the All-Star game. Is there anybody else? I kind of was seeing on NBA that you can vote, and it seems like that's kind of a typical thing now for All-Star games. At least I've noticed it for the NHL. Who from the league, even the Nuggets, should go to the All-Star game?
Well, if you're going to put Taco Fall and Alex Caruso, I think you could
and
put
Zion.
You could probably put PJ Dozier up there. You could probably put NP Joe.
What are we doing?
But no,
apparently nothing.
Yeah, I would rather see Jamal Murray in there over Zion and Taco Fall.
No, the only other Nugget I can really see is maybe a Will Barton. Possibly, he's been pretty well, or he's played well so far. Jamal Murray's defense has gone up a lot, but I don't see him being an all-star.
He's gonna wait a little bit.
So I really see Jokic is the only viable option from the Nuggets to be in the All-Star game.
But like you said, just these guys have barely played any games getting up there. Zion has like a lot. Like, he's been getting voters, hasn't he? Votes on there.
He probably has.
He's probably
he has.
It's
not any.
It's all hype vote.
It's not enough to get him into a spot or anything, but he has votes.
But it's like, imagine it's like, Taco Fall, who's getting a lot of votes. Imagine Zion getting a lot of votes. He hasn't even played a single game this year.
Yeah, so I mean, we can all agree that the All-Star voting is skewed and it's not.
It's popularity.
It's not
contest.
accurate.
It's
that's how
every league.
That's how the All-Star game for every league is. I mean, back in 2015, the Kansas City Royals had their entire starting lineup as what was leading at one point. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's just a popularity contest. They don't go anything off of stats. It's just who's well known, who's popular,
or who plays for my team.
Yeah, and who plays for my team. You're going to the All-Star game. It's just like the Pro Bowl, the NHL All-Star game, and the MLB All-Star game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's horrendous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Before we go to the break, what do you think Nikola Jokic will be doing in the All-Star game? Like, how they have the skills competition or something to it? What do you think he'll be doing? Anything crazy?
What did he do last year? He did the race one?
He might have done the skills, but I honestly, with the way he's playing now and how tired he was from, the FIBA World Cup, I really just see him playing the game, getting this couple of minutes, and then, sitting out.
He'll just have a nice, relaxing weekend during the skills competition. Go in there, play 5-10 minutes maybe.
Yeah, anyone from Nuggets for skills, I would put MPJ just because step back and whatnot.
Such a beautiful step back.
Oh,
why not?
Yeah, right.
Well, when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little Avalanche and talk about their last few games that have been struggling. This is the Press Box on GoMileHigh.com, part of the Beyond Air Network.
Every day, across this country, hundreds of college radio stations take to the air, broadcasting music and programming that you won't hear anywhere else.
It's one of the last places where people can really be able to actually say what they want to say.
Without it, you wouldn't have a place for local artists to perform. Certain people need to have a chance, a fighting chance, and college radio is that place for it.
College radio changes the lives of those who are involved with it and can change those who listen to it too.
This is where we start out, from getting all this great experience working in college radio. It makes you want to work in real radio.
College radio means finding yourself. It helped me find what I wanted to do in not only school but in life.
So support college radio by continuing to listen to this station and supporting the students who make it happen. College radio, now, more than ever. A message brought to you by this station and the College Radio Foundation. For more information, please visit collegeradio.org.
This is Durello and Stertz. Zach Durello.
I would say there's two answers because there's the Elway draft and there's going to be the way that I would draft it, which I'm going to go with that. You're going to have to get the offensive line beefed up so you can get Drew Lock. You need to think about it. Our offensive line is pretty horrendous. There's Reisner.
Matthew Stertz. Half the fan base wanted Troy Tulowitzki to get traded, and the other half of the fan base doesn't know anything about baseball, so they were like, no, we want Troy.
Follow them on Twitter at Welcome Rug and at Orange Mamba 22 to check out the latest podcast.
So I'm taking a trip over to Tibet, see the sights, climb a hill or two. But I remember, oh man, I got one guy out here who I actually know. So I give an old ringy-dingy to the Lama.
What?
The Dalai Lama, his laminescence, flowing robes, the grace, bald, striking really. I says to the Lama, hey, you remember that round I caddied for you down in Shangri-La? Well, apparently some station out in Lakewood taped the whole thing. See, the Lama's a big hitter, nailed 2 eagles in a row that day. Well, he says, what station could have possibly gotten all the way out to my sacred holy lands, the Shangri? I says it was none other than GoMileHigh.com. Lama. They got the best sports coverage in the state. The Lama actually tips me this time, 2-1. So he pretty much stiffed me again, but I got him hooked on GoMileHigh.com, so I got that going for me, which is nice.
That's great.
GoMileHigh.com.
What does it take to be on air? It's not just the personality, though it does help. It takes drive, creativity, passion, and the willingness to develop yourself and truly find what makes you special. At Go Mile High, students are given this chance to become something great. You never know. Someone you're hearing right now could be the next big thing, and you could be the first to know how it all started. So keep listening, because you never know what's next on GoMileHigh.com.
To outfield finds McKinnon. McKinnon finds his own space. Brings it. It might have been redirected down low. Landeskog and Rantanen were both in the firing line. But either way, McKinnon's got his second point of the night. And the Avs have taken a 2-0 lead.
Welcome back to the Press Box on GoMileHigh.com, a part of the Be On Air network. I want to thank Avalanche.com and Altitude TV for that sound. I'm Caleb with Zach, Andrew, Dylan, Matt behind the glass, Tyler, Sandy, Brandon,
Just everybody.
Josh,
KJ
JJ, wherever he's at.
KJ dipped. He doesn't like this.
So we're going to talk a little bit of Avalanche. And last night, that 2-0 lead from Gabriel Landeskog was not enough to seal the deal for the Avalanche, as they lost in overtime to the Dallas Stars.
That lead just vanished.
Yeah, and it's I'll just say this much. Third period for the Avalanche of recent has been very sad.
Yeah, are you surprised with the firing of the Dallas coach that they're still performing this well? Or is it just that Dallas is that good?
I mean, the talent's there.
Yeah,
definitely. They were they made the second round last year of the playoffs. So.
And they were literally one goal away from going to the conference. So lucky for St. Louis being outshot all night long. Finally got one from the hometown hero. So
like
Patty
you said-
Maroon.
Yeah, like you said, the talent's there. It's just that coach just, he just wasn't the greatest. He wasn't the guy that they needed.
Yeah.
He wasn't there hyping them up. He was just there to be there. Didn't care for what he was doing. And that's the one reason he was fired.
Yeah, so last night's loss was definitely one that hurt. The best scenario out of all this is that the Avalanche got the 1 point, which helps them in the standings wise, because we're different from every other league. We like to throw points off of a win or an overtime loss.
You hockey players.
Yeah, I know. We're just an overall different league, but at the end of the day, that's what matters, is getting the point. But when you're at home, you don't want to just settle for the point. Like, settling for the point is for on the road. Like, that loss in Dallas before New Year's, was it what we wanted? No, but that's kind of what you want to expect from on the road. You want to go at least 500, or if you can't go 500, you at least want to get at least get that 1 point on the road.
I mean, right now they're one loss with the Winnipeg win away from being tied with the Jets. So, I mean, it's not what you want right now out of a team who had so much hype going into the season as the Avalanche did, to be kind of, what's the best word? Underwhelming, I guess would be the best way to put it. From what we've seen the point scorers get their points, but they can't hold on to them for the life of them.
It's just the defense hasn't been playing so hot.
It's
all season, too. It's not just now, recently, these past 4 games, right? The 4-game losing streak?
Yeah.
It's all season the defense just hasn't been showing up most of the time.
It seems like they go on these runs where they win 4, 5, 6 games in a row, followed by an equal amount of losing streak.
Yeah. It's like they go into games and it's like they win. It's like they win, they score, but it's like 7-6, 7-5, 6-5. They're close games because the defense just can't show up. Even
it's been of recent. It's been a mix of everything.
Yeah.
Like, one moment, the goaltending is absolute garbage. Like, Philip Grubauer or Pavel Francouz is letting practically in everything in the back of the net, and you just sit there and watch, and you're afraid for the opponent to shoot the puck because you're just afraid it's going to go in the back of the net. It doesn't matter what kind of shot it is. You just kind of cringe every time the shot goes. Then there's nights where the goaltenders are playing great. I think of the Islander game where they lost 1-0. Goaltending played fantastic, but where was the offense? Where was Nathan McKinnon? Where was Mikko Rantanen? Where was Cale Makar? Nowhere to be found. So, and then there's other nights where the offense is there, but where was the defense?
Exactly.
So it's been a mixture.
Wait,
of
are we
everything.
talking about the Avalanche or the Rockies?
At this point, it sounds like we're talking about the Rockies over here.
I think we're talking about every Denver sport right now.
Matt, you had something?
So I gotta ask Caleb then. What can they do to turn it around and kind of keep those winning streaks, extending those winning streaks even further? Is it a player meeting, or is it Bednar needs to talk to the boys, or what do you think?
I think it's a little mix of everything because remember, this team has sustained a lot of injuries, and one thing that's come to my mind, at least on the goaltending side of things, after Philip Grubauer got hurt, and even Pavel Francouz, they haven't played the same. You can see it. When Philip Grubauer came back after his injury, he just didn't look like the same Philip Grubauer, and he hasn't looked like the same Grubauer since. So it kind of makes you want to think, like, does he need some more time? Does he need some more practice time before we throw him out there? Other things is, Landeskog's the leader here, and sometimes it takes a leader to say, hey, you know what? We're going to switch things around and step up and do what he needs to do as the captain. But I also think that the Avalanche could use one more player, and it wasn't Taylor Hall that they needed. I think it's somebody on the defense. I think the missing of Tyson Barrie is a true factor of everything because Tyson Barrie played a lot on offense. He contributed on the power play. He was true key. Now, I'm not taking that away from Cale Makar because he's a two-way guy. He can play offense and defense, but I think we're missing one more solid, true defenseman, somebody who can what's the word I want? Back check. Somebody who just plays solid defense.
This
Defensive
team
defenseman.
looks so lethargic at times. I'm gonna say, I feel like the thing they're missing is somebody on this team, either the coach or a player, needs to light a fire under the word I can't say due to FCC regulations of these boys, because this team they fall asleep. Because I get your injury standpoint, but from being a fan of the St. Louis Blues, the Blues lost their top scorer in Vladimir Tarasenko super early in the season. This right now the best team in terms of standings. So you can play the injury card all you want to, but
St. Louis is a little bit different story for me because St. Louis has solid goaltending. St. Louis has Ryan O'Reilly. They have the defense.
I'm just saying from when you lose that kind of production, not even just lose, when other teams lose these high level production players and are still playing to a level that they're capable of. The Avs aren't playing with a next man up mentality, and that's killing them at this point.
And also, it's like even if you have these injuries on this team, it's not about the players. It's about consistency on the team, consistency on the offense, consistency on the defense, and you don't see that with the Avs.
You just
only injury.
The Avs aren't consistent on offense or defense. It's either an offensive night or a defensive night. You don't see both ever.
Yeah. Well, when I'm going off injuries, I'm talking about more of the Jonas Donskoy injury. I know that you were comparing it to Vladimir Tarasenko.
I'm speaking from my perspective, but other teams are also losing productive players that you need.
I think of Pittsburgh. I mean, they lost Sidney Crosby, and they're still producing. But I think there's something about Jonas Donskoy that he does that the Avalanche need, and Jonas Donskoy goes to the net.
Yeah,
that's not every Avalanche player is doing that. There's only, I think, of 3 players that go to the net right now: Jonas Donskoy, Gabriel Landeskog, and Matt Calvert. That's it.
That goes back exactly to my point. You don't see consistency from everybody. It's just 2, 3, or 4 different guys. You never see from everybody on the ice.
Yeah. And that's
need that from everybody. You can't just have these people that are just sitting back there doing nothing, waiting for the puck to come back the other way. You need to be everybody down there. You need a set formation. You need everybody to touch the puck to get in the goal.
That's why a couple months ago when Landeskog and Rantanen were out and you had Matt Calvert and Jonas Donskoy playing with Nathan MacKinnon, that's why we got so much offense production, because Nathan MacKinnon would dump it in the corner. Matt Calvert would be the first one there. Donskoy's going the net, feed it back to MacKinnon, and it's going in the back of the net.
I got to see a lot of that one. Actually, when I went and watched them, they played amazing offense and defense. It was like the one time I think I've ever seen them do that. The defense wasn't so great, but the offense was amazing. I think Las Vegas had over 30 shots on goal and had 3 goals scored. And the Avs, I think, had over 20-something and had 7 goals scored.
Yeah. So, and
that's what we need to see more.
And a lot of this, too, is that it's not like the Avalanche are playing totally bad either. The third period woes have been for them. The one thing I am more happy to see that we haven't seen in a very long time is them throw shots on goal. Like, we're seeing a lot of shots being thrown in. Eventually, Colorado will get their break. And I think it's just kind of one of those, this is going to be more an excuse, but I think it's just one of those things like we're a few weeks from the All-Star game, and it's just kind of like, I'm just ready to go on my break and
But that's the thing
reset.
you can't do. Like,
no, you can't.
Like, it's like the NBA when we were talking about last segment. They're just ready for the All-Star break. You can't just give up before your All-Star break because that's going to hurt your standings.
No.
And that's exactly what the Avs and the Nuggets are doing.
Yep, and it's not good. But the Avalanche do have a couple games that they could possibly win. One of them being tomorrow night at Pepsi Center against the San Jose Sharks. A bad San Jose Sharks team that's missing their key guys.
Surprisingly bad.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not really surprised that they're bad just considering how old they are and the players that they lost. And then St. Louis will be a true test to them. If they can go back and win like they did a couple weeks ago, that would be a confidence booster.
Is that game going to be here in Denver?
Yep, it's going to be at Pepsi Center. And then you play the Detroit Red Wings on Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Those are some tickets I might need to get.
So, and obviously, if all you hockey fans out there know that Detroit's the bottom of the National Hockey League, pulling out a 2014 Avalanche type of season, which is not very good.
A sad record.
And then
27 total points into the season.
Are you kidding?
Playoffs?
Yeah, Detroit has 27 points.
Talk about the playoffs.
Before we go to the break, too, I've got a couple news here. Today, Vegas, the Golden Knights, fired their head coach today, Gerard Gallant, and was replaced by Pete DeBoer from the San Jose Sharks after he just got fired just a couple weeks ago. So when we were talking about coaching carousel the other day, it's legit going on in the NHL right now.
What do you think they're going to do? Swap? He's going to go to. He went to Vegas. He's
no,
gonna go to the
San Jose's already got a replacement coach.
They already do?
And somebody was telling me that this, with Gerard Gallant being out there, this is kind of something for the Avalanche that they might keep an eye on because it doesn't look great right now for the Avalanche and all things.
If Bednar can't turn this around in the next 2 to 4 weeks, do you think they might ship him off and go?
What
look
might
at him?
happen is that they promote Gerard Gallant to head coach and move Jared Bednar to an assistant coach role, and they might just redo the coaching staff in that way.
Would Bednar accept that? Is that something that he could just be like, okay?
I do not know because I feel like Bednar has earned the respect of being here, but at the same time, I feel like this is something that he wants best for the team.
But it's a business. In the end, it's a business, and you never know what's going to happen.
Yep.
If he thinks it's better for the team, better for the business, it's going to happen.
Yeah. And then the other news that I've got is that the NHL on New Year's Day released that the Minnesota Wild will be playing in the 2021 Winter Classic, and one of the teams that I think that possibly could be playing in that Winter Classic is the Colorado Avalanche. Just from the aspect of the rivalry that is there, the hatred between both teams, but I know some of the talk has been St. Louis. I know St. Louis and Minnesota has played a couple times. Chicago's always a hot market. So,
yuck. I think we have mutual agreement that we kind of yuck
but
Chicago.
Nashville could get another appearance. So, it's hard to say.
An Avs in the Winter Classic against Minnesota would be awesome.
And it's at Target Field, so it'd be kind of cool. So
yeah.
All right.
Hockey in a baseball field. Let's
go. There's something about it.
It really is.
All right. Well, as we go to the break, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of college football. Should college football reschedule their playoff and their bowl games? Find out next, as this is the Press Box on GoMileHigh.com, part of the Beyond Air Network.
This is Durello and Stertz. Zach Durello.
I would say there's two answers because there's the Elway draft and there's going to be the way that I would draft it, which I'm going to go with that. You're going to have to get the offensive line beefed up so you can get Drew Lock. You think about it, our offensive line is pretty horrendous. There's Reisner.
Matthew Stertz. Half the fan base wanted Troy Tulowitzki to get traded, and the other half the fan base doesn't know anything about baseball, so they were like, no, we want Troy.
Follow them on Twitter at Welcome Rug and at Orange Mamba 22 to check out the latest podcast.
Every day, across this country, hundreds of college radio stations take to the air, broadcasting music and programming that you won't hear anywhere else.
It's one of the last places where people can really be able to actually say what they want to say.
Without it, you wouldn't have a place for local artists to perform. Certain people need to have a chance, a fighting chance, and college radio is that place for it.
College radio changes the lives of those who are involved with it and can change those who listen to it too.
This is where we start out, from getting all this great experience working in college radio. It makes you want to work in real radio.
College radio means finding yourself. It helped me find what I wanted to do in not only school but in life.
So support college radio by continuing to listen to this station and supporting the students who make it happen. College radio, now, more than ever. A message brought to you by this station and the College Radio Foundation. For more information, please visit collegeradio.org.
Hurry, young Papsy, we must make it back to Camelot so I can listen to GoMileHigh.com. Oh, who goes there? It is I, King Arthur on his mighty steed. Let me in the castle at once. I must get to my quarters to listen in to the best in Colorado's sports lifestyle programming. But, sir, don't we live in medieval Wales? No, Popsy, you mustn't ask questions when I'm listening about my beloved Broncos. Ah, GoMileHigh.com.
Every day, across this country, hundreds of college radio stations take to the air, broadcasting music and programming that you won't hear anywhere else.
It's one of the last places where people can really be able to actually say what they want to say.
Without it, you wouldn't have a place for local artists to perform. Certain people need to have a chance, a fighting chance, and college radio is that place for it.
College radio changes the lives of those who are involved with it and can change those who listen to it too.
This is where we start out, from getting all this great experience working in college radio. It makes you want to work in real radio.
College radio means finding yourself. It helped me find what I wanted to do in not only school but in life.
So support college radio by continuing to listen to this station and supporting the students who make it happen. College radio, now, more than ever. A message brought to you by this station and the College Radio Foundation. For more information, please visit collegeradio.org.
Welcome back to the Press Box on GoMileHigh.com, part of the Beyond Air Network. This is the final segment of today. And before we get too far on that, I just wanted to shout out Zach and his promo that he's got, Zach and Matt's. It's definitely a classic. I love it.
Yeah, it's just taken over. I don't know what else to say. It's the new big thing around here.
Just a little something we came up with this
and you guys
about an hour before the show.
And you serenaded me. It's so beautiful.
I got to shout out Theo for doing that beautiful voiceover
Matthew
for us.
Stertz.
Yeah, it's great. And I also want to thank him for the music as well because he gave us that song.
That was classic. All right, well, I'm Caleb. I'm here with Zach, Andrew, Dylan, Matt behind the board. I've got Brandon running the TriCaster. I've got Sandy, Tyler, KJ, Josh, Daniel. We got a full crew in here.
The gang's all here.
Yeah, all here to just watch this, be here to observe what we're doing. So I'm glad everybody's here helping out. So as I cued in the third segment there is, we just saw the college football playoffs. We just saw the national championship. We just saw LSU just dominate Clemson. But
do a quick recap on that.
Yeah, I'm not.
One team lost, the other team won by a lot.
Yeah.
Tigers
recap.
won. Tigers won. That's what matters.
But the big question I've got for the NCAA is that should they expand it, and if they do, should they knock out these useless bowl games? Like who watches these North NC State versus Navy? I don't think that was an actual matchup.
North NC State students.
But if you look at these bowl games, they're empty.
Yeah, we had a conversation about this. We were talking how there's such useless bowl games with sponsors that we've never heard of.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that's what we cut it down. We were talking, you cut it down to the top 25. You keep it top 25, make bowl games. And maybe expand the college football playoffs to 6. Not 8. 8's a little too much. 6, you get the 1 and the 2 get a bye seed. And then you let the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6 wherever they're placed at.
I think you should expand it to 8 just so things come out evenly. And I think the conference championship game should feature 4 out of the 6 original bowl games. So the Cotton Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar, thank you. Orange Bowl, and then
Peach Bowl.
Jeez, I'm hungry now.
And then out of the
Citrus, I think.
yes, thank you. And then out of those
Cheez-It Bowl, Matt. You don't want to get Cheez-Its dumped
That's
on you?
not a part of the New Year's Six. That's
Yeah.
what he's trying to
Oh,
talk
yeah, and
dude,
then
I want to get Cheez-Its
and
dumped
then
on
out
me.
of those
See, that just sounds like diabetes.
Right? It's like, what was it? Like he got Cheez-Its dumped on him and then water poured on him and he ate like a bunch of soggy Cheez-Its.
But you know, you
Yikes.
put 4 of those 6 originals on New Year's Day as the conference championship, and then 1 out of those original 6 is the national championship game. And then they just cycle every year. One of them will be the national championship, and then the other 4 will be the conference, and then 1 just takes a bye week.
Well, that's what they did, and then they changed it so the national championship game is the national championship game. It's not a bowl anymore.
Yeah.
So,
But
so the first 2 playoff games are a bowl, but the national championship is.
Well,
not.
you can keep it the same thing. You could call it the championship game, but you could just call it the Rose Bowl national championship game.
No,
Well,
see,
they were
they'll-
trying to get away from
yeah,
that, though.
They're never going to go back to that
Yeah,
after that.
because that's what they already did.
Because some people
Okay.
didn't know what the Rose Bowl was a national championship game or not. Some people didn't know.
Okay,
and they
well-
want you to know. That's why they created the college football playoffs.
I'll just say this much. I'm so used to the old stuff. I played NCAA football all the time, so I'm used to being one of those
Never
original
f-
6 being some type of national
Never
championship.
forget NCAA football.
But should they do that? Should they practically just get rid of like half the bowl games and expand the playoffs and make
Oh.
some of those bowl games be part of the
Get rid more
the
of,
championship?
Get rid of more than half. You know, just keep it to top 25 in bowl games.
No, I
That's-
think the playoffs should go to 6.
Yeah,
Yeah, the top
see-
25 teams play, and then any team that would have been eligible, you just give them a check from the Cheez-It
Yeah.
or the Gasparilla Bowl or whatever,
Yeah.
and then
it's
that's
like we said, a six playoff team bracket is perfect. It's just like the NFL playoffs, sort of. You get those top two teams get a bye.
So you want a wild card situation here then?
It's not really a wild card. It's kind of a wild card situation, but
you just get the top 2 teams that have a bye week.
These these teams that are just barely missing get snubbed, like Georgia and Baylor, barely just missed it.
But-
Penn State, and if you add the 6, you get those 2 in there.
But here's another scenario that we could do is, I mean, all these teams are bracketed out into certain divisions, or I guess we call them conferences, and then in their conference divisions. I mean, we can run that route too, that each conference gets a spokesperson for the national championship, the playoff run.
Yeah, maybe like, I don't know.
And it doesn't matter what conference you in. If you're in Conference USA, doesn't matter. You get a shot at it no matter what.
Well, at that point, there's like 12 conferences. So
Yeah.
you have to have like 12 people.
Like that's why you. Just,
Okay, well
that's why
then
you
keep it to
bracket
the Big Six. Keep it from
The Power Five?
Yeah, the Power
Well-
5, and add one more.
But that's so messed up though, because then what if you get a UCF from like 3 years ago, right? They're in
Undefeated.
the what's UCF in the?
Oh,
I don't even know, MAC or something.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Like
They
some
are in
nobody
the
conference.
NCAA.
So okay,
Oh,
so
wow, really?
and I know this isn't all clear out, but then I guess that's where a wild card scenario would come in,
But
right?
what if you have like 2 12-0 teams and they both of them won their conference? How do you decide between the
then
two
would you
12-0
make that
teams?
then would you make that more of a wild card scenario then instead of being a conference scenario?
Fight to the death. That's how you solve it.
Yeah, that's right.
like
Have the
once you
2
push
fight.
it-
The one team that's
Because
not in the
I-
grave
this
goes
is
on.
kind of a weird scenario
Hey,
because
they're
our
in the AAC.
Oh,
they're in the
that's
American
right.
Athletic
Yeah.
Conference.
Yeah. So I just don't think that they will. If you push it to 6, you have to push it to more as well, because
Thank you.
then you're not including people that think they deserve a shot. Where if you have 4, you can say no. These are the 4 best teams in football.
Yeah.
Period. Like,
But then-
there can always be a debate for top
Yeah.
6. Once you start getting down to 4,
But
that's
I'm going.
a lot
But
That's the
tougher.
big thing.
I'm going my basis off of like, wouldn't it have been nice to see Utah, and they're trying to fight for.
I don't know.
a
Utah
tip-
lost to Texas in
And
their
I-
bowl
I
game
weir-
by like
I-
38 points.
and
so
I
I'm
know
not
that
sure
they
I
lost
would've
that
won
national
Utah.
championship game, but if they would have had, and now I'm not saying they didn't have enough to fight for to get a spot in the Final Four, but say they would have had a chance, even if they lost, would they have made a solid run to play LSU?
You know what? Let's
You
just do
never know.
this.
You can't say no, but I doubt it. Like, I thought Utah was gonna get that last seed, honestly,
Yeah.
until they had that dud against
Texas.
No, that was the bowl game. It was the one game right before that. I don't remember who.
Yeah,
it was.
It was like conference game against Oregon.
Yeah,
You know what? Let's
that
just
one.
do this.
I predicted Utah to win that, and Tanner, of course, went off on me for about 20 minutes after it because I was
As
wrong.
he does.
But I don't think that these lesser teams, even though they think they got a shot, actually are as good as these LSU and Clemsons that dominate college football.
And you know what? Let's just do this. Let's March Madness it. Let's just put every team in the bracket. Let them win it out.
You want a 3-10 team in the
there's a bit of
playoffs.
sarcasm in that.
Okay.
You say no matter what you do, there's gonna be controversy and debates about who's the best team.
At least then we would cover our bowl game matchups. At least.
See, it's like no matter what you do, there's gonna be controversy and who should have been in the playoffs. Like,
Well, and
I still think 6 is perfect.
Some of it's rigged though, because ESPN's in charge of it, and I think ESPN likes to pick favorites.
Well, I think
ESPN playing favorites and being super biased towards other teams or
Yeah.
sports.
No way.
You don't say.
so. Like one team, for instance,
They don't know what the NHL is.
And like in the FBS, you have North Dakota State, who's been dominant for the last six years. I mean, could you even throw them a bone a little bit and make sure that they have
No.
They've been dominant the last 6 years. They're the
there
Alabama.
is a complete difference
They're the
between
Bama of their
D2
division.
and D1 football. They're like
But there are good players from
there's good
D2.
players. Carson Wentz played for North Dakota State. I ain't saying that they don't have good players playing for him, but if you put some of those offensive linemen against some of the defensive linemen playing for Alabama, dude, they're gonna end up with broken legs and arms, man.
Hey.
Like they're in a different class, honestly. Like D2 and D1 is so far apart. It's almost just
I
as
can
far
see
apart
Dan's-
as like NFL and D1. Like almost that.
I think Dan agrees with you. I see him nodding over there.
All right, well, before we close out the show today, Andrew, you had some MLB news for us?
So going off of yesterday's when we discussed the Astros punishments, about an hour after the show ended yesterday, it came out that the Red Sox were firing manager Alex Cora. Cora was heavily involved, the mastermind, quote unquote, against when he was a bench coach for the Astros in 2017. Took it to the Red Sox in 2018 and won the championship in similar fashion to the video camera. And so now he has stepped down from the manager role with the Red Sox. And there are also reports going around that the Mets might be firing Carlos Beltran, their brand new head coach manager who hasn't even stepped on an MLB field for a manager role, and he might already have gotten the boot.
Just like that.
That's
just
what
out
you
of
get.
there.
That you deserve
Yeah.
it. No argument with that.
Okay, I have a little argument with this.
Oh
How
my
is
gosh.
Carlos Beltran the only one that gets in trouble for this as a player? I don't care that he just became a manager. Like, no players, 0 players from the Houston Astros, the Yankees, given the Red Sox and the Astros are the only ones current, but either one of those scandals, no players involved in any of the.
The thing with the
suspensions
players
or anything.
is, I'm assuming they signed a plea deal with Major League Baseball and the investigators, where if they give their testimony, if they say everything that happened, they will not face any repercussions.
So just unlucky that Carlos Beltran went to be a manager now.
I think the
so
thing
now
with
he gets
him is
punished for it?
he was the only player that retired post that year's World Series.
I
that
still
was on
don't
that
think
team.
it should matter. He wasn't management, so I don't think he should get punished. But
He,
that's just my
he was also a huge factor. Like in Alex Cora, he didn't play the exact same role as Alex Cora did, but he was in a similar fashion to that. And with Carlos Beltran being fired, the fact that he lied to the New York media about having any knowledge on this whatsoever, and the Mets, who haven't had any cheating allegations whatsoever, they just want to wash their hands of this and not have any kind of thing happen to them during the season. They don't want to lose their manager 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, I just still think it's unfair for Carlos
Oh,
Beltran.
definitely. I feel the exact same way. I feel like this guy, he's a stand-up dude. He doesn't have the moral.
He's a good Samaritan.
He doesn't have the moral question marks that.
Although we
Alex
are saying
Cora
this,
does.
and he was the one cheating, so I don't know about that.
Definitely, but
He's a good guy, outstanding Samaritan.
It sucks that he's the only player that's being mentioned, but again, the timing of it all for him retiring right after the World Series and all the other players still being current players.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
Yeah, how come they're
unfortunate,
not
but it
getting
happens.
punished?
Yeah.
How come those players aren't getting punished?
Which players?
The Astros.
Because, like I said, they signed a deal with Major League Baseball investigators to where if they give their testimony, say that everything that they know what's going on happened, then they don't have to face repercussions because they cooperated.
I got you.
Well, as we close out here, I want to thank Zach, Andrew, Dylan. Thanks for co-hosting. Thank you, Matt, for running the board. Thank you, Brandon, for running the TriCaster. Thank you for everybody else that tuned in and helped with the show. I'm Caleb. This was the Press Box on GoMileHigh.com, part of the Beyond Network. Tune in for the Blitz next.